Hello, hello, and welcome to the Gothic Jungle. Plant advice online can be overwhelming, conflicting, and confusing, especially when new trends show up. So today, I want to talk about 5 plant myths that I've debunked through my own experience caring for my collection. The first myth that I want to talk about today is that misting will increase humidity. So this is a myth because after you spray your plants, the increase in humidity will only last for a few minutes as the water droplets dry, rather than a prolonged period of time. The goal of this myth is to try and increase the humidity to suit the plant's needs, aka provide a change in environment. So the humidity increase needs to be constant over the course of the day. So instead of standing over your plants and hand misting all day, buying a humidifier will achieve this goal, since it will consistently push out mist into the environment you keep your plants in. Now, while misting with water might not help increase humidity, it might be able to help in other ways. I've found some success in misting my plants with diluted hydrogen peroxide to help their overall health. The reason hydrogen peroxide is so effective is because it's found in rain. Hydrogen peroxide helps remove any white residue on leaves from tap water, mildly helps with pest prevention, and can disinfect plants' roots. Other people have also found success in misting with neem oil, but I haven't personally found it does anything. I had tried the the Wild one for a while, but then I just switched over to hydrogen peroxide. So now we have 2 ways to revise the original statement / myth to make it true. So the first way would be using a humidifier will increase humidity, and that misting can have benefits when using diluted hydrogen peroxide, neem oil, or etc. So the second myth I want to talk about today is that plants will clean your air. While having plants in your space has many benefits, like making you happy and being an interesting feature of your home, the one thing that they won't really do is clean the air in your house. I think this myth comes from that NASA snake plant study and the fact that the Amazon rainforest plays such a huge role in combating air pollutants. The miscommunication with the NASA study was that people believed that 6 to 8 snake plants would be able to sustain a person's life, but in reality, that amount of snake plants doesn't even produce the level of oxygen a person would need in a day. So the rate at which a plant produces oxygen is much slower and lower than what is implied. In reality, if you wanted to clean your air with houseplants to the significance the myth implies, you would have to cover your home floor to ceiling with plants and monitor the fungus like crazy. Also, subsequent research by the University of Drexel in 2014, I looked all this up. I did my research, guys. But there's like a bunch of studies after that big NASA one that proves that normal ventilation is a much more effective way of cleaning / like filtering your air, like getting an air filter or even just like opening your window for a little bit. That'll do way more than trying to get a bunch of snake plants in your house. So a more accurate statement would be keeping plants in your home will clean your air a small amount. So a little disappointing, but that's okay. So the third myth that I want to talk about today is that low-light plants can survive in dark corners. I feel like this myth has become popular due to a lot of confusion about what low light means. I do talk about this a bit more in my Your Plant Probably Needs More Light video, but essentially you can't put a plant in a dark place and expect it to thrive. Plants need some form of light to live because of like photosynthesis. They need that for their energy. They need that for their food. If you're unsure if a place in your house is too bright or dark for your plants, you can Google like specifications for your plant. If you want to be super specific, you can look up the foot candles of light your plant needs and use a light meter. But generally, if you're unsure, try giving it more light than you think it needs and see how your plant responds. If it looks like it's crispy on the edges, it's too much light, but if your plant is growing slowly and or is like wilting, then it's too little. If you want to keep your plant in an area not by a window, you can always buy grow lights, and no, regular LEDs don't work. I explained that in another video called What Makes Grow Lights Better Than Regular LEDs, which is another great watch. Go check it out after this one. There's tons of brands out there, whether you want a fancy one or a cheap one, and most plant YouTubers will have their discount codes. I personally have one for Sansi. I've been really happy with their lights, and I would definitely buy them and all that jazz. But some bigger YouTubers usually will have one for Soltech, which is the big fancy brand. Those really nice giant lights that a lot of people use on the internet. So now to revise the statement, we can say low light plants still need light. The fourth plant myth that I want to go over today is that having no drainage holes will kill your plant. Now, this one's a bit controversial, especially since my and most people's go-to method for taking care of plants is using clear pots with drainage holes, but I don't think it's a death wish to not have drainage holes in your plant pots. It just changes your care routine. Now, I still think that the clear pot and drainage holes is a more foolproof way to take care of plants to ensure they don't get root rot or anything like that, but I have taken care of a few plants in no drainage pots before, and they were just fine. A YouTuber that I like to watch, Plantigay for Life, is a huge fan of growing anthuriums in closed vases and has a bunch of tips for doing so on his channel. From my understanding, the trick is to just have a bunch of rocks at the bottom and just have it kind of vaporize over time and just keep a really watchful eye on it. Therefore, a better statement would be having no drainage holes in your plant pots will change your care routine. So, the fifth and final myth that I would like to bust today is that overwatering your plant refers to the amount of water used. When navigating overwatering, I like to think about the plant's natural environment and how it's built to respond. So most houseplants are native to the tropics, which get massive rainstorms every so once in a while, meaning that it would not make sense for one overwatering to kill your plant. However, if it's weeks on end overwatering, that is a different story because the root system is getting waterlogged and not getting enough oxygen to breathe. Remember, your roots need both water, fertilizer, and oxygen in order to be big and beautiful. Basically, if you overwater, don't panic. All you have to do is wait longer than normal for the soil to come dry, or mostly dry depending on the type of plant, before you water again. This kind of goes hand in hand with not being too rigid with watering schedules and listening to your plants. Let them tell you when they want more water. So, to revise our final myth, overwatering refers to the frequency of water used. And just to review, here are our 5 original myths together. Whoa, look at these incredibly false statements. And then our final 5 revised true statements that you are super smart and know all about now. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you found this interesting and kind of help you navigate different things when you're taking care of plants. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Video's over now. Bye!